So next up is actually my subject that I've brought to the table this week, and that is We Happy Few.
Oh boy.
That has now gone from a fairly underwhelming Kickstarter game, the indie Kickstarter game, and has now been taken under the wing of Mr. Randy Pitchford's Gearbox.
Oh boy.
And has now become a AAA game. It has doubled in price. There is going to be a season pass. There's going to be a 150 quid special edition that doesn't include the game. And
does anybody have anything nice to say about this? I don't think so.
But I mean, my point is this: is when you talk about AAA games now, it does seem to be that there is this almost template. It's like, okay, you're a AAA game. Okay, you need this, and this. If you don't have any of them, you might as well just be indie, stay over there. That's not my words, by the way. I'd rather play indie games than AAAs any day of the week. But it's kind of like, okay, so now it's this. It has to be this price. It has to have a season pass. It has to have a special edition with a model and a sample of the guy's pants and everything else. And it's why?
Oh yeah, it went right through the AAA processing.
Yep. Oh, pre-order exclusives as well. Pre-order exclusives.
It hit every AAA branch down the tree.
Yeah. All it's missing, and I'm expecting them to announce this soon, is loot boxes.
Oh dear God! Just no, stop giving them ideas.
Actually, the gameplay does lend itself well to
exactly, because it's a survival game. You can go, get this special box. It's got some clean T-shirts in it, or some drugs, and the pre-order bonus is some kind of weird umbrella that you can hit people with. And I don't know, I've literally, I mean, to be honest, when I first saw the game, it was probably a couple of years ago now when they first showed it off, it looked interesting. Then they released the sort of early version for Kickstarter backers, and it turned out it wasn't the game everyone was expecting, and it was just a fairly generic survival game. And now it's just going to become a fairly generic, expensive survival game with a load of bolted on rubbish.
I'll play devil's advocate. I played the game about a year ago, had a very similar experience to you. I was super excited about the game. It had a really awesome aesthetic. It looked like a kind of like a 70s crazy version of Bioshock. It had a really good feeling to it. And then you played the game and you were deflated because it is just another survival game. God knows we have a lot of those. But here's the only reason I think that they are trying to do this is maybe they are trying to rescue the game. Maybe they're trying to save what they've made because they know that they possibly made something that is kind of generic, and maybe they needed more money. Maybe they wanted to infuse it with more, to get that big publisher, so that way they maybe could, I don't know, maybe make the game a little bit more than we hoped it would be, or make it more better. I don't know.
Yeah, but we're talking about Randy Pitchford and Gearbox.
Yes, but I'm not allowed to talk about him. Because I get myself in trouble when I do that, so I'm not going to talk about him.
Yes, we don't want any controversy, do we?
Exactly. So, but no, I kind of see exactly where you're coming from. On the argument about trimmings and AAA stuff, okay, I think this is an odd and a strange move that might actually be gambling on the impressions that were made when the game was shown off at E3.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. It's it's already kind of almost had a beta release kind of.
Yeah, it's on
and the reception was a bit lukewarm. So why now on that has a company decided to swoop in and pick it up? Unless, like what George is saying, they're coming to rescue it, make it better.
I mean, I played the game when it first on the PC became available, and I played it, and I was equally taken aback. I was like, this is a survival game. You know what? That's absolutely fine. And I kept knuckling forward, and I got to Hamlin, I think the first little town is, that was in that early build.
Yeah.
And it actually got really interesting when I got to Hamlin, and I liked the social aspect, the fact that the social aspect also became a survival mechanic. And I thought that was really interesting. Now, since then, they've added in new difficulty modes. They're going to add in new playable characters. There's no reason why they couldn't make a character, or they couldn't make something that does play slightly more similar to what people were expecting. They have built a really interesting setting. and a really interesting skill set and an interesting play set, essentially. And what with how much they've changed the game since it first kind of became slightly playable, I do think that there could be something there that could be pitched as, suitable for all of this stuff. I don't know. I have lost track of the game, admittedly.
Right, but to bring it back to what Terry was saying, there's really it literally got pushed through like a mold, like Play-Doh, like this is what AAA is, this is what it should be always, season passes and other bull that you don't really want or need. Yeah. It really got just pushed through this extruder, and it's a really good insight as to what AAA companies right now think what AAA should be, which is horribly disgusting, in my opinion, and I have nothing nice to say about it.
And the thing that in a way, in this situation, I can almost understand the collector's edition with no game in it, only for the fact that it was a Kickstarter. Yeah, but right, so only for the fact that this was a Kickstarted game. So the people that have already paid for this game are already going to have the game. And if they are a massive fan and want all that gumph, they can buy it without having a second copy of the game. That I can understand.
But don't forget that there are companies out there that do that now. There are companies like Special-Edition and other companies that do that are essentially service companies for developers now. What Gearbox are doing is they are taking, I suppose, big indie or successful indie or big AA, if we even still say that, or A games, and trying to give them a new lease of life through the early 2000s AAA process. And so things like People Can Fly's Bulletstorm getting completely remastered and getting all of this stuff happening probably made a lot of sense to the marketing team and the people in charge at People Can Fly, but it didn't really in the modern consumer environment, unless Gearbox have also got an online distribution set up. I don't even know how it hit retail, actually, as a matter of fact, but I can't imagine it was a particularly large effort. I doubt that they got the same kind of run up and hype build up to the AAA games that they're trying to imitate.
Well, my final statement is this, and it was an article I read. It wasn't necessarily related to this, but I honestly think that the titles, the genres that we call these things, AAA, AA, which I think is a disgusting thing, indie, I think these titles need to die. I really do think they need to die.
Agreed.
They need to go away because they're now conforming things in a way that are not helpful or beneficial to consumers, to gamers. I think they need to go away. And yeah, I just... No,
I agree. So yeah, AAA indie, because it's getting to the point now where indie games are coming out that are better and more polished than AAA games in a lot of circumstances.
Absolutely. Look at Hellblade.
Yeah, exactly. Hellblade is a AAA game. Just it was made by an independent developer.
Well, bear in mind, I think we have kind of touched on this. I think we've touched on this every week, really. But bear in mind that indie, used to a few years ago mean the bedroom or the basement coder, whereas now we've got ex-developers who have kind of all flooded out of Irrational Games. Look at the Banner Saga, for instance, or I was talking to a team at Gamescom who were a team of like 25 people who haven't made a game before. So by all intents and purposes, they're indie. And even if they launch that game, as a matter of fact, they're indie. And even if that game outsells Call of Duty, they're indie, because there is no other move. There is no other place for them to go. So yes, agreed. We almost need to go to talking about, developer, publisher, small team, big team, medium team, veteran team. We almost need to go to that formatting now for when
totally.
Talking about games. Yeah.
Totally.